Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Today marks the second part of the Mabinogi series on the channel, and this branch is known as the Panty. It tells of the friendship between Pwyll, who is the Prince of Dyfed, and Aran, Lord of Anon, which was the other world, of the courting and marriage between Pwyll and Rhiannon, and also the birth and disappearance of Pryderi, and also introduces a number of storylines that will reappear in later tales as well. Along with the other branches, this tale can be found in the medieval Red Book of Hergest and the White Book of Vivech, both notable and celebrated surviving manuscripts in Welsh and very similar in content. Likely that the two actually descend from a lost common ancestor, since our earliest manuscript dates to the 14th century, but the story is believed to be much older. The story begins with Pwyll, who is the Prince of Dyfed, hunting in Glyn Key, separated from his companions, and he comes across a pack of spectral hounds known to the Welsh as the Cw Anon, who chase down and then start to feed on a stag. He drives the dogs away and lets his own dogs start to eat the stag instead. Aran, lord of the otherworldly kingdom of Anon, appears in a flurry of anger and demands that in recompense, Pwyll should trade places with Aran for a year and a day, taking on the lord's appearance and taking his place at Aran's court, and also to defeat another otherworldly king named Halfdan, which he agrees to. At the end of the term, Pwyll engages in single combat against Halfdan, Aran's rival, and mortally wounds him with one blow, and earns Aran overlordship of all of Anon. After Halfdan's death, Pwyll and Aran meet up once again, both changing back to their old appearances and return to their respective courts. They became long-lasting friends even after Pwyll's mortal death, because while Pwyll slept in the same bed as Aran's wife for the duration of the year, he refused to sleep with her. General rule of thumb for my viewers, if you end up in some fairy otherworld, is you don't sleep with the fairy king's wife. As a result of Pwyll's successful ruling of Anon, he earns the title Pwyll Pen Anovan, which means Pwyll head of Anon, and sometime later, while Pwyll and his noblemen ascend the grounds of Gorsedd Ambeth, they witness the arrival of a beautiful woman dressed in gold silk brocade, riding a shining white horse. Pwyll sees this beautiful woman and sends his best horseman after her, but she is always ahead of them, one step ahead, though her horse never seems to move faster than an amble. After 3 days, he finally calls out to her asking her to stop, which she does so immediately, and says she will gladly stop, and it would have been better for their horses and hers if he'd asked sooner. She then tells them that their meeting wasn't a coincidence and was fully planned, since that her aim was to find him because she'd rather marry him than her current fiancé, Grow Up Cleed. Pwyll doesn't even take any time to think about it at all and agrees to get married to this mysterious woman, who tells him that her name is Rhiannon. They set their wedding day a year after their first meeting, and on that day Pwyll sets out to the court of Hyffaid Hen. At their wedding feast, a man shows up and asks a request of Pwyll, who replies the man can have whatever he asks for. The man then reveals himself as Grow Up Cleed and asks for Rhiannon and the wedding feast. A promise is a promise, which Pwyll is obliged to give. Rhiannon is unhappy with this turn of events and explains that the feast is hers and not Pwyll's to give away. It has already been promised for guests and hosts. She explains that after another year an equal feast will be prepared for her and Grow, and he then leaves back to his realm. 1 year later, and the day of the feast arrives, and now it is Pwyll's turn to come to the wedding feast in disguise with an enchanted bag given to him by Rhiannon to ask for a request. Grow, being more clever than Pwyll, replies that if the request is reasonable, he shall have it. Pwyll then asks for only enough food to fill his bag, and Grow complies. The bag, being enchanted though, could not be filled, and eventually Grow himself enters the bag to honour his promise, and Pwyll closes it, and the bag is then hung and struck repeatedly by Pwyll's men with sticks. Moving on from the brutal maiming of a disgruntled groom in a bag, and sometime later, Prish and Rhiannon attempt to supply an heir to their kingdom under the advice of his nobleman, and eventually a boy is born. On the night of his birth, while in the care of 6 of Rhiannon's ladies-in-waiting, the tiny baby vanishes. To avoid the king's fury, the ladies smear dog's blood onto a sleeping Rhiannon, claiming that she had committed infanticide and cannibalism through eating and destroying her own child. Rhiannon is distraught and pleads that she did not in fact eat her baby, but no one believes her, and Rhiannon is forced to do penance for her crime of eating the king's heir in her bestial nature. As punishment, she must stand at the castle gates with a horse's collar around her neck. She is obliged to carry anyone who came to the gates inside to their destination, and to tell them how she had eaten her own baby. She never complained over the long 7 years she was forced to suffer this. Meanwhile, the baby was found outside of a stable by an ex-vassal of Prish, Tiernon, the lord of Gwenty's Coed. He and his wife claim the boy as their own, and name him Gry Vasht Erlin, which means Gry of the golden hair, for all the hair on his head was as yellow as gold. The child grows to adulthood in a superhuman pace, and as he matures, his likeness to Prish grows more obvious, and eventually Tiernon realizes who Gry actually is and who his parentage belongs, as Rhiannon is actually a supernatural entity and goddess, if you hadn't guessed by now. One day her son came to the gate, and mother and son immediately recognized each other, restoring Rhiannon's good name. Rhiannon conforms to 2 archetypes of myth, a gracious, bountiful queen goddess, as well as the wronged wife falsely accused of eating her child. Finally reunited with Prish and Rhiannon, the boy is renamed Pryderi, which means loss. Some time later, Prish dies peacefully and Pryderi ascends to the throne, marrying a woman named Kikva and amalgamating the 7 cantrefs of Mabinogi to his kingdom and bringing the first branch of the Mabinogi to an end. Thank you for reaching the end of the video with me. I hope that you enjoy the body swaps, stealing people's brides, falsely accused wife of being forced to be a human taxi, those sorts of things. I think out of the 4 branches, this is actually the tamest in terms of the sorts of things that happen, because it's only going to get weirder or more brutal from here. Please don't forget to share, like and subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment down below to let YouTube know that you enjoy my videos, so that you can be recommended more. Have a good day guys. Bye bye.